for the next stage of the company's growth. They've determined that moving the headquarters to New York City will allow the company to keep growing and keep pace with demand. For the Voice of Connecticut WICC, I'm John Kamal.
It's time. Time for stimulating talk. Time for thought-provoking conversation. Time for the Lisa Rain and get the real scoop on today's top. Here is
Wednesday. So it's 333-9422 is our number. You can call me at 203. We have Miss Five. 10:30. We hope to have Vicki McCarthy. Written this morning to discuss his plan to implement the largest expansion of preschool access. Now, this is an expansion that's going to be paid for by us. It still requires approval by the General Assembly. And the point is that he's using some dedicate a fund that will enable thousands of current little ones to go to preschool when they currently can't afford it or their parents. And, it aims to make affordable preschool to all families by making it free or low cost for all. Working families can work and earn a lot of money, or they can work and earn not so much money. Presumably, the subsidies are for families that still work but don't earn that much money. The proposal is contained in House Bill 6867. So, again, for the details, we promise that we're going to go there at 10:45. Currently, in the past 5 years, we have added over 11,000 subsidized childcare spaces, but recognizing that not all children have access to quality pre-kindergarten, recognizing that many parents would like to work, that preschool is a form of daycare as well. I know, don't kill me, it's not the same thing, but in a way it is because it occupies hours of the school day that otherwise would have to be occupied by parents or by paid babysitters. And the other piece of this is that we can screen better for preschoolers that may have special ed needs. So, given all of this, it's going to be called the Universal Preschool Endowment. It will initially be funded with $300 million from the fiscal year 2025 surplus, and then with unappropriated surpluses to come in 2026 and thereafter. The Commissioner of Early Childhood may spend up to 10%, up to $30 million of the endowment on an annual basis to create sufficient capacity for universal preschool. Now, I don't know what that means. They want to make preschool free for families making up to $100,000 a year. They want to establish a $20 per day maximum. I don't know what that means for families making up to $150,000, $20 a day maximum. Does that sound right to you? Maybe $20 an hour. And they want to create another 20,000 preschool spaces by 2032. So it's nowhere here does it say that the state of Connecticut wants to own these preschools, but they want to create them. So what does that mean? Does it mean they're going to own them? Does it mean we're going to have, similar to public school education, public school preschool education, where it is owned by municipalities? Is it an expansion of our elementary schools to go from kindergarten to have 3- and 4-year-olds in the same school building? A lot of this needs to actually be fleshed out. I imagine that Connecticut is going to look to the example of Manhattan, of New York City, which made universal pre-K for age 4 only available for free for all New York City kids. How that happened, where that happened, how was that warehoused, I don't know. But there's a lot of detail to this detail. When you say you want to create tens of thousands of new preschool spots, in what buildings? Are you then going to subsidize some friends that you may know that are licensed for preschool education? It looks like a grand opportunity if you know somebody who's already in the field and who may have one existing preschool who may want to establish a chain throughout an area or move from county to county. It looks like a great opportunity because $30 million goes a long way in the state of Connecticut. We're a state that approximately, just so you know, only has about 40,000 babies born every year, more or less. Not a lot. So if we have 40,000 babies born every year, that's 40,000 in any given year of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old. Not every baby is necessarily going to be doing this. There are going to be parents that already want to put their kids in religious schools. There are parents that may choose to just homeschool for those preschool years and decline. So let's say we get 30,000 of the 40,000 or whatever it is. $30 million goes a long way per kid. It's a lot of money. A lot of money. $1,000 a kid. So we'll see. Anyway, this is intended to be a huge social benefit for the people in the state of Connecticut, but we have to see how it's going to be fleshed out. Hopefully the press corps that's there at 1045 in New Britain will be asking some of these questions, and I'll keep a focus on this for you as this thing meanders through the legislature and gets fleshed out. 203-333-9422. The other top story here in Connecticut is that the city's police union of Bridgeport is scheduling a no-confidence vote against Chief Roderick Porter, which they wouldn't be scheduling unless they expected would overwhelmingly pass. President of the union, Michael Salemi III, S-A-L-E-M-M-E, Salem. Maybe, Michael, you want to call up and tell me how to correctly pronounce your name. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing it. Confirming that 51 of the 56 members of the police union's private meeting on Monday expressed that they do not support Chief Roderick Porter, and they want to bring the matter before the entire department to ratify it, saying, quote, the membership has nothing to lose, and that Porter, who has been in charge since December of 2022, has destroyed, in his words, the local law enforcement agency, overseeing a, quote, toxic work environment. Now, Roderick Porter ascended to being the police chief in a very circuitous way. You'll recall he originally wanted it before Perez got it. Then Perez was out and ousted and charged with criminally cooking the test results in a way that had him ascend to the leadership, even though he hadn't passed muster, which was an embarrassing and awful thing to see. Armando Perez, he still had many friends in the community, but he was out. The assistant police chief at the time was Rebecca Garcia. She was hoping to become the permanent police chief. She faced a similar voice of no confidence by the union. And so Joe Ganim decided, the mayor at the time, still the mayor, said, you know what, let's put in Roderick Porter, who wanted it to begin with. I don't know if Roderick Porter is the first black police chief, of the chief police officer. He's certainly not the first person of color, if we want to widen of color to people of Hispanic descent. He may be the first black. But Roderick Porter has been occupying that position since 2022. He's been making some difficult decisions. And now people are saying, one white person said he wasn't promoted because of race, but a couple of black people or Hispanic people said they weren't promoted because of race. He's getting it from all sides. Ganim said that he made Roderick Porter a chief following a nationwide search. And, quote, his office said the mayor is always concerned. Mayor Ganim, if you're listening, feel free to call in and chat with us about this. The mayor is always concerned when issues are raised by employees, especially within the police department, that could impact morale. So one of the things that Chief Porter has had to deal with, which is not his fault necessarily, is that he has been saying all along, in order for our police staff to function optimally, we need about 400 officers. We have more or less about 250 in all of 2024. That's not great. That's a major loss of capacity. How can you not put more work on the existing police officers when you're so below capacity? In my own little probate world, I have 4 clerks, not 250. We had a period of time where we only had 3. We were standing on a 3-legged stool instead of a 4-legged dining table. We finally were able to fill that 4th position And everybody is doing better. And everybody is more relaxed. And everybody's doing a more thorough, better job. And nobody feels disproportionately burdened. When you've got a police staff of only 250, 260 officers, and your own chief is saying we need 400, you're on a three-legged stool, maybe 2.5. And so, of course, the workload is going to be greater. And, of course, the pressures are going to be greater because there's still crime in Bridgeport. There's still personal service. There's still complaints that have to be attended to. But according to the union, they see it a different way. They say our officers are forced to file lawsuits, CHRO complaints, for the Connecticut Commission on Human Rights. The tax-paying citizens of Bridgeport will face the brunt of paying these bills for grievances, reimbursement of attorney fees, and lawsuits. And the union is saying that the way it's managed doesn't make the people who are managed feel competent, feel good. I want to see here. Let's see here. Because I want to see if there are any specifics and details that I can bring to your attention. They say the union head is accusing the chief of unfair and inconsistent discipline, targeting unidentified officers that Porter doesn't like, denying promotions, and imposing a 30% increase in mandates that wear personnel down and create inefficiencies. But other people are saying that they don't have any issue with what Roderick Porter is doing. Some people are very puzzled by this, and we will see where this goes. 203-333-9422. If you can lend any insight, I'm not a police officer in Bridgeport. I'm not a police officer administrator in Bridgeport. I'm not a resident of Bridgeport. If you've got any insight into this that you want to share, I'd love to hear it at 203-333-9422. We've got more stories to report. We will catch you up on what's happening in D.C. as well. You are listening to the Lisa Wexler Show on WICC.
There's so many in our community who make a positive impact, from innovators and leaders to local businesses and nonprofits. They do so much for Connecticut. We will recognize them with the WICC Impact Awards, and we need your help. Submit your nominations now across 6 categories at voiceofct.com. Then join us on May 14th at Fasano's Four Seasons in Stratford as we recognize your nominees. Honor those who've helped to make Connecticut better with the WICC Impact Awards.
Your business or service can reach thousands of listeners with The Lisa Wexler Show. Lisa's listeners are devoted and loyal. They should know how great your business is. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Lisa will work with you directly to craft a message that resonates with listeners, plus you'll get introduced to the members of The Lisa Wexler Show family. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Just email Lisa at voiceofct.com. That's Lisa at voiceofct.com.
Join us at Maritime Chevrolet of Fairfield's Red Tag Sales Event, where our new Equinox EV all-wheel drive, low-mileage leases for only $279 per month with your $3,000 down. Charge ahead with confidence, an estimated 315 miles of range, $279 per month, and save on future gas and maintenance expenses. Only at MaritimeChevy.com.
Stock number 24496E. $3,000 down payment required. $10K per year. Lease primary lender must approve. Excludes tax reg and Taylor conveyance fee of $7.99.
Let's face it, home maintenance is exhausting. Renovations, repairs, and building projects are worse. Who do you call? Who can you trust? Renowned home builder David Dahl and his trusted team at Total Home Management is the solution. They take the stress out of home ownership. Every home, every client is different. Total Home Management offers custom annual home maintenance programs, which include handyman service hours to simplify your life. Not only does Total Home Management handle preventative maintenance, upkeep, and repairs, David Dahl and his team of experts have been tackling the most complex renovations, new construction, and historic restorations in Lower Fairfield County for over 38 years. Total Home Management is your one-call, one-stop solution for all your home projects. From inside your home to anything around your property, Total Home Management is here. Visit our website, www.totalhomemanagementllc.net. That's totalhomemanagementllc.net. Or call 203-962-5494. Simplify your life. We'll handle your home.
This is your Optimum weather update. Today, expect partly to mostly sunny skies with high temps in the low to mid 50s. Chance of some rain or a wintry mix later on. Low temps dip into the low 30s. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy with a chance of rain. Highs in the upper 40s and low 50s. This report powered by Optimum Business. Take your business to the next level with Optimum Business Essentials. Get reliable, secure internet connection backup and business phone, all for just $90 a month. Visit Optimum.com/business or call 855-2-OPTIMUM today.
Your radio preset #1 on both AM and FM. The voice of Connecticut. WICC 600 and 95.9. Back to the Lisa Wexler Show.
One of the stories that we've been following is the story of the person in Connecticut who was convicted. Well, no, I'm going to scratch that. He was guilty of, but not found guilty of, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity, of killing somebody and eating the eyeball. Remember this case? The cannibal? And how much consternation and conversation there has been about the fact that after only serving a 10-year sentence out of a 60-year imposed commitment, the Psychiatric Review Board said that this gentleman can leave and be under the auspices of round-the-clock group home monitoring. And this has caused, we've had a number of politicians on the show. Paul Pacelli, Connecticut Today, has also done a lot of work on this, and Melissa as well in the morning. And this raises a lot of questions about our current criminal jurisprudence. It raises a question about whether we should have a verdict of not guilty by reason of insanity, or alongside it have guilty, but with insanity as a mitigating factor, so that there is still a conviction that is left standing. Currently, the way our criminal law works, the person is not guilty by reason of insanity, meaning their record is expunged. They are technically not guilty because when they did the act, whatever the act was, they weren't in their right mind. And this goes back to when I took criminal law in law school, this goes back to a long debate about morally, should somebody be culpable if they're in the throes of psychosis? But whether we agree on the answer, whether we agree on how we look at culpability, whether we look at whether or not someone should ever be guilty or not guilty because they didn't know right from wrong, or whatever the standard is, I think that maybe, this is just me now talking, maybe we want to revisit how our criminal justice system treats people who have committed the worst kind of crimes, murder, for example. And if they've committed murder while under a psychosis, maybe we want to acknowledge that they're insane as a mitigating factor, but we don't ever want to say that they can be released from a psychiatric institute like Whiting, for example. There's a story that broke by Pat Tomlinson in The Hour, Stamford, a former Ridgefield man accused of arson, not murder, but escaped from a court-ordered mental health treatment last month and was caught at JFK International Airport with a hatchet, sledgehammer, and a handwritten plan to shoot 2 people, according to a state prosecutor, which bolsters the argument and conversation about the fact that when people are suffering from an acute mental illness like schizophrenia and they don't take their medicine, they very easily decompensate and they go into psychosis. And I know I'm speaking like a doctor, but these are the terms I hear every single day when I'm in the psychiatric hospital as a probate judge and ruling on matters having to do with commitment. Darren Yu Wong, 25 years old, was arrested Monday on a first-degree failure to appear charge. That's the failure to appear. After he, quote, absconded from court-mandated treatment at Silver Hill in New Canaan, which is the facility he's accused of trying to set fire to back in February of 2023. So the punishment was somehow to stay at Silver Hill, and he absconded. Now, Silver Hill is frankly not intended to be a facility for people that are guilty of arson or are thinking they're going to kill people with sledgehammers or hatchets. Silver Hill is primarily a facility for people who suffer from chronic substance abuse issues, perhaps severe depression, suicidal impulses occasionally, and maybe more than occasionally. And it is a facility designed to make you feel as you're getting well that little by little you can earn your freedom. It is the furthest thing from Whiting. It is the furthest thing from Bridgeport, greater mental health. It is not at all like St. V's in Westport. These three that I have mentioned to you are lockup facilities. And that's really not what Silver Hill is. So it doesn't surprise me that he absconded. It surprises me that he was put there to begin with. Michelle Manning, who's the supervisory assistant state's attorney, said on Tuesday that Wong was captured by New York authorities at JFK, armed with a hatchet, sledgehammer, and handwritten note detailing his daring escape plan, which included plans about shooting someone in the head. Not only generally shooting someone in the head, but naming two specific possible targets. His capture came a day after an escape from Silver Hill that involved him jumping out of a moving car. So maybe at Silver Hill they were realizing that he didn't belong there to begin with. Manning saying, as she asked Superior Court Judge Alex Hernandez to either set a $5 million bond on Wong or remand him to custody without a bond, this man is extremely dangerous, a flight risk, and should not be out of DOC custody, meaning Department of Corrections custody, for a very long time. In March, Wong also escaped from a high-security treatment facility in California. That prompted him to be flown to Connecticut for an emergency court hearing. At that hearing, his attorney arranged to have him readmitted to Silver Hill, despite the February 2023 incidents. And Russell saying on Tuesday, there are two Darren Wongs, the one who originally turned himself into police and the one who was laboring under severe mental illness. And that is true. And that is the pity and the tragedy of schizophrenia. That is the pity, and there are two people. But from a public safety point of view, this is my opinion, we have to err on the side of protecting public safety, even though it is a very sad tragedy that as individuals, some of these individuals, when they're compliant with meds, seem like they would never commit a crime in their so-called right mind. But the probability, the statistical probability that people who suffer from these kind of illnesses and have a criminal history, the statistical probability that they will stop taking their meds once they have the freedom to do so is very, very high. Doctors know this. People in the profession know this. And therefore, the question becomes, as an issue of public safety, how do we balance the rights of an individual versus the right of a society? Now, it's not an abstract concept, because when we have somebody that killed someone and ate his eyeball, or we have somebody that already set fire to a premises and then writes a homicidal note, we know the capability of someone. And therefore, frankly, I think it's not such a hard decision. That's why we have psychiatric lockups. That's why we have so-called not guilty by reason of insanity. But when we have not guilty by reason of insanity, I think that it's only fair to tell judges and to tell juries that if they render that verdict, they are putting the freedom of this person not in the hands of law enforcement anymore, but in the hands of Connecticut Psychiatric Review Board, which has a very proud history of never having released anybody who's then committed a crime. That's what they claim, which means on balance, they obviously have very good judgment about who to release. But most people don't want there to be a first time. So I think it's fair for juries. I also think it's fair for legislature to perhaps just take a look at the options that a jury may be able to decide in a case where somebody has actually committed the heinous act, but they know that they committed it under psychosis when they're not themselves. Instead of not guilty by reason of insanity, maybe it is guilty with a mitigating factor of insanity. So that, no, they don't go to the General Department of Corrections. They go to a lockup, but they still have a criminal conviction on their record. Seems to me that we can figure this out. But I'm very troubled to hear that somebody jumped out of a moving car at Silver Hill, that he was put back at Silver Hill, which is not, Silver Hill's an amazing facility, but it's an amazing facility for the people who belong there. It's not typically a place where criminals who tried to set fire to it go back. I'm Lisa Wexler. We're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about spring gardens with our master gardener, Vicki McCarthy, who'll be right back with us from Save a Tree.
For much more from The Lisa Wexler Show, follow and listen to her daily podcast.
Hey, it's Melissa Sheketoff. We had 2 trees actually damage our fence last year, and working with K&J right now is a no-brainer because they have great deals happening right now instead of just waiting till the springtime like all those other companies. Whether you need tree trimming, removal, or stump grinding, they're offering aggressive winter discounts off of all of their services. Plus, did I mention they offer financing for up to 60 months? Go online to kjtreeservice.com. That's kjtreeservice.com.
WICC 600 and 95.9. Online at thevoiceofct.com. Thanks to Fairfield University Graduate and Professional Studies.
At Bender, we make your bathroom remodel a luxurious experience. Explore our curated selection of tile, stone, decorative hardware, cabinetry, sinks, and bathtubs. Bender consultants will help you create a beautiful retreat, all under one roof. For a limited time, mention the Lisa Wexler Show for an exclusive friends and family discount. Visit our Norwalk or New Haven showrooms today. And don't forget to mention the Lisa Wexler Show. Bender, a Connecticut fixture since 1946.
It's Duchess Restaurants. It's fresh, made to order, and it's what makes Duchess food so good. Duchess Restaurants has so many choices. Try the Big D Philly cheesesteak, or how about a combo meal like a Big D cheeseburger, long dog, or grilled chicken sandwich with fries and a drink, or a roasted turkey, bacon, and cheddar on wheatberry bread. You can't go wrong with one of Duchess Restaurants' many menu items: sandwiches, wraps, burgers, hot dogs, and more. All of Duchess's menu items are made to order, adding to their fresh flavor. You gotta eat at Duchess. Go to GoDuchess.com for the one nearest you. Duchess Restaurants. Fresh food served fast.
Service, repair, or replace your AC or heating system. Go to BassoPHAC.com. Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Everything is better with Basso. BassoPHAC.com.
When disaster strikes, whether it's a house fire, furnace malfunction, or burst pipes, trust me, Felicia, the owner of Robin Hood Adjusters, to be your advocate. With over a decade of experience, I specialize in increasing the settlement value of your insurance claim and shielding you from unethical lowball offers by the insurance giants. Visit RobinHoodAdjustersCT.com and see how I can help protect your interests and get you the compensation you deserve. At Robin Hood Adjusters, I work for you.
Your new customers are listening to the Voice of Connecticut. Become an advertiser and grow your business. You'll reach thousands of Connecticut consumers. Email sales@voiceofct.com.
Listen to Lisa while you're at work. VoiceofCT.com. Back to the Lisa Wexler Show. WICC 600 and 95.9.
And welcome back to the show. Well, spring it's not quite sprung. In fact, I haven't seen a crocus yet. I haven't seen a crocus or a rosebud or a robin on the wing. Vicki McCarthy joins us now. She's a master gardener for many towns in Fairfield County. She herself has a beautiful, beautiful place up in Southbury. Is it Southbury or Southington, Vicki? I always get the two confused.
It's a little town called Marion, part of Southington.
Southington. And you're a beekeeper, and I've had the pleasure of being with you and your bees, and you're with Save a Tree, and there frankly isn't anything you don't know about how to get our garden ready to bloom and what to look out for. Thank you for joining us today. It's March, and we want spring to be here.
Thank you for having me, Lisa. And yes, spring is officially March 20. But St. Patrick's Day, the 17th, is always the day to start planting your peas. So we're almost there, and we certainly are in the spring wake-up for sure.
We're planting peas. Now, it feels still a little cold. Does that matter outside? Is it cold or just me?
Yes. No, it's definitely cold. And as exciting as it is when the air temperature warms up, we have to be careful to treat our soil well. We don't want to start working the soil too early because we can turn it into cement. And these healthy plants love to have non-compacted soil. So do trees. So we don't want to work any soil when it's wet. We want to have nice crumbly soil. So I'd say wait until the soil temperature turns about 60 degrees. So about when the forsythias bloom, those yellow shrubs that are early spring bloomers. That's the time usually when the soil temperature starts getting up to about 50 degrees. So the air temperature may be warmer, but the soil is not ready.
Okay, so when my forsythias don't seem to be doing anything, I can barely see a bud. They might be there, but I don't see it. I don't see it. They still look like dead shrubs. So when the forsythias bloom, that's when we start turning over our garden. That's when we start planting the peas?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Definitely.
That's a very
and
good
I think now is just a great time to, whether you're looking out the window or you get outside and you walk, just to kind of observe all the things in your yard that winter has created. Great time to look at trees, see if you have any red maples, see if there's a reddish little flower on the red maple trees that are just starting to blossom, providing early pollen and nectar for bees and hummingbirds and the early birds that are flying in. And a great thing to do, if you have a lot of fallen limbs in your yard, look and see where those limbs came from. And if you can identify them on the ground, that's great, or have somebody over to help you. That tree needs pruning. So when you do that winter storm pruning, you can reduce a lot of damage, and your spring cleanup gets a lot easier.
And when would you typically be pruning those trees? Now?
Well, winter is a great time to prune, but depending on the species, if you talk to an arborist, they can let you know which trees to avoid pruning later. So everything has its own cycle.
So I do. I have a bunch of debris on my lawn, and I would normally never pay attention to it. You're saying I should pay attention to it because that's an indicator that tree needs to be pruned.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and you have oaks in the front, as I'm remembering. You've got a lot of red maples on the sides. So, and it can be overwhelming, especially you have big, beautiful properties. Oh my gosh, I have to prune everything. But if you do a little bit every year and put a budget together to do a little bit, you'd be amazed how many branches do not fall. And then if you're doing that preventative pruning, you're also preserving the shape of your tree. Because if everything gets too heavy and we get a big ice storm, or if the wind picks up when those little red flowers are on the red maples or the birch trees, they will tear off the tree, and then you ruin the shape of your beautiful trees. So it's really interesting. A lot of people just aren't aware of it.
We're chatting with Vicki McCarthy. You can call me at 203-333-9422, and Vicki will answer your questions. She's really our maven here. So one of my most beautiful things to look at right now is, because the leaves haven't filled in, I'm really paying a lot of attention to the birds. And I started singing Mary Poppins yesterday, out loud, of course, and also to Abby. A robin feathering its nest has very little time to rest while gathering its bits of twine and twig. And I'm watching. We had this brilliant red cardinal outside our window yesterday as we were doing the show. I almost stopped talking, which is a big thing. And
thanks for you.
But I mean, it's beautiful right now to pay attention to how the birds are interacting with the trees.
You're so right, Lisa. I actually had a customer yesterday that I met with, and they had so many birds on their property that they cultivate, and they put up the birdhouses, and they're very aware of how some of the dead trees can provide a lot of food for birds. And they were keenly aware of that and wanted an arborist there that would decide to help them. How can they keep some of these dead trees for the wildlife they want to observe in their yard, and yet make the house safe? So we went through literally limb by limb, deciding, okay, we can take this limb off, we can leave this here for the birds. And the whole appointment was all about the spring birds. And we were gifted by birds flying overhead, and they had a great ecological environment going on. So it's great to work with somebody that understands, your ecosystem. We're so lucky in Connecticut. We have an amazing ecosystem.
That must have been so beautiful. What town was that in, Vicki?
Reading.
Reading.
They had barred owl boxes up, and they had a lot of preserved dead trees that were far enough away from the house, so if they did collapse in a storm, it wouldn't bother the house. And then we just preserved limbs around the house and took out the dangerous stuff and left the good stuff. And it's
Give us an education. Tell us, why are dead trees helpful for birds and insects and other creatures? Why?
Oh, they're called wildlife snags, actually. That's their term. And they are just rich. It's a rich universe of decaying, crumbling wood that is creating food for insects. We have a lot of decaying insects, and the birds love to go in there after the decaying insects. So you have, a lot of synergy there. You have these trees that the birds can make homes for, or they can roost in when they're traveling. They migrate, and they're migrating during cold times. So they need little cavities to hide in overnight before they continue their journey. And hollowed out trees are great for that, for birds and a lot of different animals. Bears hibernate in hollowed out trees, and trees have a lot of stability, even though they have hollows in the middle. So it's fascinating to, change the way you think sometime about a tree on your property if it's dead, and consult with somebody. Say, hey, want to leave this here for the wildlife, but is it safe? And, how long will it be before it actually falls down and returns to Mother Earth to enrich the soil?
That's a really beautiful thing. So people that have a little elbow room, because I always assumed if it's dead, it has to go. And what you're saying is, no, it doesn't have to go.
Absolutely not. No.
Wow.
And, so many of the nutrients in our soil are being held in our trees. So when the tree decays, instead of removing it off the property, when it naturally decays and everybody uses it for their benefit, it goes back to the land, and those nutrients are repurposed again by the new saplings coming up. So
let me ask you this, Vicki McCarthy. Let me ask you this. My husband always had this prejudice against leaving a stump. He always thought that was not the right way to cut a tree down. But what I'm hearing you say is that as those roots disintegrate, there's a lot of value. Maybe we should take it to the stump and not uproot it.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said about that. Now, so many people have beautifully managed lawns that they're into. I know you are more of a naturalist, but where you can take a stump out so that it's nice and even for your lawn, that's a great thing to do. But anything on the borders, absolutely. The stumps provide a lot of nutrition and living space for a lot of different creatures and microorganisms, too. We can't forget about fungi and other things going on. There's an entire universe there that, more things going on in a teaspoon of soil than in the whole world. So there's a whole microorganism.
I always learn something new from you, Vicki. We're chatting with Vicki McCarthy, Save a Tree, 203-333-9422. Today I learned that the forsythia are a signal that it's time to start our gardens, especially if we want to plant early things. And they haven't bloomed yet, so I still have a couple of weeks to go, maybe. And also that when we have dead trees, they aren't necessarily something that should go, a blight. It would be good for the ecosystem to stay there as long as we know they're not going to fall on our house. Now, I have a tree that's in between. I have a tree that is largely hollowed out that you've told me about. It's a gigantic tree. It's very next to my garage and house, but it still has a beautiful canopy of green every spring.
Mm-hmm.
But I happen to know personally there are many squirrels that live in that tree. And I feel like that tree will never harm me. I told you spiritually, I feel like that tree will never fall on me. And I won't take that tree down. I won't do it.
Yeah. I always trust a homeowner's intuition with a tree because there is, you have a relationship with the tree.
I
you
do.
live with it, you hear it squeak, you know how the wind blows around your home. And we do tree risk hazardous assessments as arborists. So there's a technical way to actually assess whether we can determine if a tree is hazardous and has to come down or not. But the intuition of the arborist, certainly, and the intuition of the homeowner plays very largely in on that. And everybody has a different tolerance for, the risks they're willing to accept. So I really appreciate when people share with me how they feel about the tree.
I love this tree so much. I love this
It's so
tree.
Gorgeous. It's your whole environment is beautiful.
Well, thanks
and very,
to you.
Very nature conscious.
Yeah, well, because I don't put any pesticides on my lawn. I won't do it.
Yeah, that's right.
So I have a lot
and
of, but you told me I
everything
have a lot of clover. I have a lot of dandelions. I have a lot of weeds. Some people call them weeds, but I call them food for other critters. They're not weeds.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A lot of pollinators love that. And, as a grandparent, you can have a lot of influence on young people working with you in your yard. Your granddaughter specifically will learn, the formative years are so important to work with little ones outside. No matter what you're doing, they're absorbing everything and they're learning how they, about their relationship with plants and the ecosystem by working with you. So I can't wait to see her working side by side in your garden.
Well, she'll be mostly working with you because I do nothing. But you know what? But one day I'm going to take Abby to see your bees. That'll be a thrill.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We
have this. Yeah, that's fascinating. The bees, the honeybees are fascinating. And we can't forget about our other native pollinators, all the cellophane bees and the solitary pollinators and bumblebees that are on the red maples and the skunk cabbage right now.
Okay, so our bees are our friends. We stay out of their way. They stay out of ours. As opposed to the yellow jackets, which really are not our friends. I don't really like the yellow jackets.
Story.
Different story.
We have to have them have their own space. Decaying trees help give them a home as well. So that's a good reason to have some decaying trees so they stay away from your gutters and your roof.
And then also we stay away from the tree.
Exactly.
Vicki McCarthy, thank you so much. I know you were Save a Tree. If people have any questions for you, do you have a website, a telephone number? How could people find you? You're such a wealth of knowledge.
Thank you, Lisa. Yes, you can go to www.saveatree.com and it's Vicki McCarthy at saveatree.com also. And my cell phone number, you can call me, 203-231-7266. Happy to help.
And Save a Tree is SAVATREE. So
Correct.
It's without the E, without the extra E. But, of course, if you want to reach Vicki and you're driving and you can't remember any of that, shoot me a quick email at lisa@lisawexler.com or lisa@voiceofct.com, and I will put you in touch with Vicki, as I've done for many people, Vicki. You're really my go-to.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
You're the best. We'll be right back. We're going to try and go live. We'll see if the governor is starting his press conference in a timely way to talk about this brand new initiative to fund preschool education for so many Connecticut kids. We'll be right back.
Get the best parts of the Lisa Wexler Show right now. Follow now on your favorite podcast app.
Selling your home is a numbers game. The more potential buyers who see it, the greater the opportunity to sell. And when your home is listed on Smart MLS, more than 21,000 realtors see it, and so do all their buyers. Suddenly, the number of people looking at your home starts to grow by a lot. More realtors sharing your listing, more people seeing your home, more offers coming in, and maybe even more cash in your pocket. Smart move, right? Ask your realtor. Is my house on Smart MLS? Smart MLS, the smart way to sell your home.
Now you can find out who's under the helmet and behind the jersey with the Rudin Report Athlete Profile. High school sports are made great by the student athletes who play them. Check out the High School Athlete Profile, sponsored by BMW of Darien at therudinreport.com.
Professor, how did you crack where these big prizes come from on the multiplier scratch tickets?
Greta and I had a lot of coffee.
We discovered the prizes jumped by 5, 20, 50, and even 100 times.
$200,000 in a single scratch.
Professor, so the big question, who solved it?
I did.
Play the new multiplier scratch tickets from the Connecticut Lottery. Multiply your wins and maybe enjoy your own eureka moment.
Overall odds by game: 5x 1 in 4.25, 20x 1 in 4.06, 50x 1 in 3.72, 100x 1 in 3.55. Must be 18 or older. Problem gambling helpline. Call 888-789-7777.
Our financial system is cracking under pressure. Your retirement is at risk. Take control now. Lear Capital is offering a free Sky High Silver Report and Precious Metals IRA guide at BetterNestEgg.com. Don't leave your future to chance. Go to BetterNestEgg.com.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentors and idols, the people who inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. But they do know when to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy to forget that we're all better with a support system. Therapy is a great way to find a consistent source of support in your life, so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. BetterHelp has experienced therapists ready to help you with challenges ranging from anxiety and depression to relationships and stress. It's convenient, too. You can join a session with the click of a button, helping you fit therapy into your busy life. You can even send your therapist a message anytime something comes up. Build your support system with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABCRadio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABCRadio.
Back to the news and talk. Thanks to Smart MLS. Smart sellers ask, is my home on Smart MLS? The voice of Connecticut. WICC 695.9. It's the Lisa Wexler Show.
We're going to go now to the governor and hear from his press conference, which is in New Britain, Connecticut, as we speak. No, not yet. All right, Chris. So the governor's not on yet. Okay. Well, you know what? When the governor's on, Chris will give me the thumbs up, and we'll hear from the governor. And hopefully it will be when we are still on the air, because sometimes these things get delayed, and hopefully this one won't. 203-333-9422. Speaking of our health and welfare, there is a MAHA movement afoot called Make America Healthy Again, and it's one of the reasons why so many people who were a little bit skeptical of appointing Robert F. Kennedy Jr. decided, in fact, that, you know what, they were going to throw their support behind him. He told executives of major food companies that he wants synthetic colors removed from their products, a trade group warning its own members decision time is imminent. Big deal. I mean, the only thing that America's managed to do in recent history, and it wasn't much, is remove the red dye number 3 that Europe removed a long time ago, which is why their food doesn't look like our food. And not only that, we decided that they were going to have a few more years to do it. They didn't have to do it right away. But in his first meeting with top executives from PepsiCo, Kellogg, General Mills, and other large companies, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the health secretary, bluntly told them that a top priority would be eliminating artificial dyes from the nation's food supply, emphasizing it was a, quote, strong desire and urgent priority of the new Trump administration to rid the food system of artificial colorings, and warning the companies that they should anticipate significant change as a result of his own quest for getting the worst ingredients out of food. Good for him. I think we owe him a round of applause. Let's see if he can do it. While Mr. Kennedy said in the meeting that he wanted to work with the industry, he also made clear his intention to take action unless the industry is willing to be proactive. So, in other words, do it my way, or guess what? I'm coming on with the highway. Melissa Hochstad, who attended the meeting and is the group's president, meaning the group of these conglomerate of food manufacturers, said to underscore decision time is imminent. Later on Monday, he issued a very important directive. Now, this is key. There has been a longstanding policy for the FDA that companies, and this was shocking to me to read, so listen up, independent of any regulatory review, in other words, without FDA approval, companies have been able to decide that a new ingredient in the food supply was safe on their own and put it into food. This was put in place decades ago, and it was aimed at ingredients like salt or vinegar that were widely understood to be benign and well understood in terms of their chemical properties. The designation is known as GRAS, generally recognized as safe, has grown to include a far broader array of synthetic additives and natural ones. And many people say that this frank pollution in our food supply is one of the reasons why we can't get ourselves thin. We can't get ourselves healthy. We can't rid ourselves of many chronic ailments. And we develop other ones that we never heard of. And that not only are they unusual and weird and don't belong there and maybe unsafe, but they have properties that addict us to the very foods that are so unhealthy for us to eat. So maybe it's not plain cane sugar. Maybe it's sugar with a tweak, right? When I was on Weight Watchers, which never worked for me, but when I was on Weight Watchers, I used to say, oh, I'm going to have the Weight Watchers fudgicles because they're within my points. I could never stop at 1. I had to have 8. There was something in the aftertaste, probably a food additive generally recognized as safe, but didn't need to be looked at as safe, that made me want to have another one. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where sometimes you eat a food, and even though you know you ate it, you're not satisfied with one of it. And you have to keep going. I used to eat the whole box of the Weight Watchers Fudgicles. I could never stop at one. And I would tell myself, oh, it's a quarter of a point. It's a half a point. It's 25 calories. It's 30 calories. They promise on the box it's next to nothing calories at all. Meantime, that could have been one of the reasons why I never lost weight on Weight Watchers. But I know there was something in the food. I don't have that same sensation when I eat an apple. If I want a second apple, I have a second apple. I don't have 10. Any other natural food I've ever eaten, it's food that I cook for myself, I've never had the same kind of addictive response that I have when I eat some of these so-called diet foods or foods that are intended to help make me not have an appetite and lose weight. Kennedy is vowing to upend the food system to address growing rates of chronic disease. What do you think about this? 203-333-9422. Right now, so many of our cereal companies, our food companies, have dazzling shades of pink and blue. Do they appear anywhere in a staff of wheat on the open plain? Of course not. Some have already tried to adapt natural ingredients like carrot or blueberry juice for coloring, particularly if they're selling in an international market like Canada. But companies have said that when they do that, in the United States, consumer demand weakens because we are so used to foods appealing to our sense of sight. We want our Cocoa Puffs to be very brown. We want our Trix to be very red and yellow and orange and green. Stephen Williams, the chief executive of PepsiCo's North America division, said he wouldn't comment. He went there with Kennedy. Obviously, they know that this has been coming for a while. They know. Advocates for food safety have criticized the existing policy as a loophole that enables food companies to introduce untested ingredients. How about if I told you about 1,000 ingredients are now considered GRAS, G-R-A-S, that have never been tested by the FDA? I have a nutritionist who used to tell me that if your food contains more than 4 ingredients, don't buy it. 4 was her acceptable limit. In other words, broccoli is just broccoli. An apple's an apple. A piece of chicken's a piece of chicken. But if your cereal box has 20 ingredients, it's not even cereal anymore. It's something else. Oatmeal is oatmeal. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. I personally applaud this effort, and I really hope it goes someplace. And don't fool yourselves. These people went to the meeting with Kennedy. They said, humana, yeah, okay, and they put a fake smile on their face. Then they went back to their boardrooms and their chemists, and they're, as we speak, trying to figure out a way to get above this, beyond this, around this, in front of this, so they really don't have to change, because change is money. And change may be a less consumer demand for Trix or Cocoa Puffs. But you know what? America has been sick and sickened by these foods for at least 2 generations. We're the richest country in the world by every measure, and in some measures, we're still one of the sickest, and we have some of the worst mortality rates for a developed country with terribly high rates of chronic illness. And I remember as a kid, this was a saying, you are what you eat. And I always remember that. I always say that to myself and my kids and my husband. You are what you eat. You are a physical manifestation of that which you put in your body, for good or for bad. You want to eat a lot of ice cream, you're going to look like a tub of ice cream. You want to eat a lot of protein and stay away from the carbs, you're going to look a little bit more sinewy. You're going to look a little bit stronger. We are what we eat, which is not to say we can't have moderation and have some ice cream once in a while. Of course we can. But all of these, I didn't know they had this GRAS thing, generally relied as safety or whatever the heck they say it is. Come on. How do you like that loophole that all the food companies walked into and elbowed their way to make it not a loophole? It's a gigantic circle. 203-333-9422. All right, listen, the governor's still not speaking, right? We're monitoring this. We were hoping we would get him on the air. Maybe he'll come on at the top of the hour. We've got live news, weather, and traffic coming at 11 o'clock. And I'm going to introduce you to our brand new Miss Connecticut and Miss Teen Connecticut, who are coming into the studio to say hello. Today is we only do 3 of these a year. Today is our Lunch with Lisa. We're expecting a big crowd. And I'm hoping that you'll be able to sign up to attend to our next one, which will be in June. But that requires you to become a subscriber to the Lisa Wexler Show online. If you don't know how to do that, send me an email and I'll be more than happy to walk you through those steps. We're giving away wonderful concert tickets today, wonderful books, mugs, all kind of personalized fun stuff. 203-333-9422. We'll be back with news you may have missed and 2 special guests.
CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by
European Commission President Ursula
responding with countermeasures billion euros. This matches the economic scope of the tariffs of the United States.
The White House hails a new report showing inflation slowed last month for the first time since September. Consumer Price Index increasing 2.8% from 1 year ago. Egg prices increased by an average of more than 10% last month. CBS's Jill Schlesinger.
Prices for food at home were up by 1.9%. If you go out to eat, prices going out 3.7% higher than a year ago.
Reports say the Trump administration is cutting more than 1,000 jobs at the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. That's about 10% of the current workforce. CBS's Caitlin Huey-Burns has more on the axe falling at the Education Department with 1,300 firings.
The agency says that they will continue to service core programs of the department, but this is also making clear this is the first step of dismantling this agency. I mean, the president has made clear, not only while he's been in office, but over and over again on the campaign trail, that he wants to abolish the Department of Education. Linda McMahon said in an interview just yesterday that these firings are the first step in that effort.
Well, CBS's Scott McFarland tells us also losing a federal job, a woman at the Justice Department who had an interaction with a well-known Trump supporter.
Among the newly ousted, the department's pardon attorney, who alleges she was removed after refusing a request to intervene and recommend actor and Trump ally Mel Gibson have his gun rights restored. Gibson lost them in 2011 after a domestic violence misdemeanor conviction.
Hundreds are involved in the search for Sudiksha Kananki, the U.S. college student who's missing in the Dominican Republic. CBS's Manuel Bajorquez tells us about newly released security camera footage.
Kananki and a man who officials say is an American that she was not traveling with appeared to walk out with their arms around each other. Sometime later, cameras captured members of the group walking back to the hotel while Kananki and the man she was walking with stayed behind. Then at 8:54 that morning, video appears to show that man returning to the hotel alone.
And checking Wall Street, the Dow is down 360. The NASDAQ is trading higher. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because feeling full can sound like this.
How did the interview go? I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
And like this.
Mom, I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/act now. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, honey bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
The Bridgeport Police Union is planning a no-confidence vote against Police Chief Roderick Porter. Union officials allege that Porter has created a toxic work environment and that he has destroyed the department since taking over in 2022. His predecessor, Rebecca Garcia, was also subject of a no-confidence vote by the City Police Officers Union. The state legislature's Joint Committee on General Law has scheduled a public hearing today on a proposed bill that would impose limits on how businesses can compensate people who review their products and services. The state agency that oversees police training has authorized admitting a new class of cadets to Bridgeport's academy. Amidst allegations of sexual misconduct and changes in leadership at the academy, Thomas Werda, executive director of the Connecticut Police Officer Standards and Training Council, say they are more comfortable allowing Bridgeport's new class of cadets to proceed. It's been almost a year and a half since Milford's Planning and Zoning Board approved a code change to allow 750 apartments to be built at the Connecticut Post Mall. But the owner of the property has yet to submit a proposed design to city officials. Connecticut brush fire risk is high as more blazes ignite. The risk of brush fires in Connecticut remains high as the state enters the start of the spring fire season. The forest fire danger level posted on the DEEP website for today is high for all counties. Sponsored by MJ Thomas Jewelers. Looking to buy or sell gold? Visit MJ Thomas Jewelers in Stratford. For expert service and great deals, their knowledgeable staff is there to assist you with all your gold needs. I'm Laura Feist, WICC News.
Attorney, advocate, author, public speaker. The Lisa Wexler Show. Flip that switch and turn on your brain. Here is Lisa Wexler.
Hola, welcome to the show today. You know, it's our Lunch with Lisa, and we love to have celebrities come to our Lunches with Lisa. Joining us now are two new crown holders here from the state of Connecticut, Jenna Hoffman, Miss Connecticut USA, and Daviana Plaza, Miss Connecticut Teen USA. Congratulations, ladies.
Thank you.
So let me begin with you, Jenna. When was the pageant?
The pageant was a little over a month ago, and it was amazing. And I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so happy to be your Miss Connecticut USA 2025.
So tell me about your introduction to the pageant world. Is this the first pageant you entered? Your attraction to being in pageants? Tell me about that.
Funny story, actually. 10 years ago, I saw an advertisement on Facebook, and that's how I started competing in pageants.
Really?
Yes.
I'm doing it this way so I can see you. Go ahead. Yep.
Once I started competing, it was truly just amazing, and I never wanted to stop.
So what other pageants did you compete for? What did
It was
you do?
always the USA system. I actually won a title when I was a teen. So it's just been nonstop ever since then, and I always wanted to win the Miss Connecticut USA title and compete at Miss USA. So now that I actually have that opportunity, it's just so exciting.
Now, I was reading about you, and you are somebody who a very big part of your mission in life is to give back.
Yeah.
And you were also, I believe, addressing kids with mental depression issues, right?
It's mental health.
Mental health.
Mental health in general. It truly does affect everyone. And the reason why I chose mental health awareness as my platform is because not only do I suffer from anxiety, but I unfortunately lost a close friend of mine to suicide.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
It must have been so young.
Yes, it was extremely devastating to me. And now I don't only want to share my story with my mental health issues and illnesses, but I want to share his story as well and continue on his legacy.
Okay. And what do you think the best way to address people who are not wanting to disclose their own mental health difficulties is?
The best way is to share your own stories. And I think that's been extremely helpful for me because as soon as I came out and shared my story with my mental health issues, more and more people were opening up about it. And that's exactly what I want to do as Miss Connecticut USA. And I've already been doing it in the past, but now that I have this title, I'm able to amplify that.
Okay. Now, many people, when they think of pageant winners, they think about bathing suit competitions. They think about looking beautiful in an evening gown. And that's all part of it, right?
It is, but it's much more than that. The crown and the sash gives you the opportunity to really touch the lives of so many people. And it's already been able to help me do that in so many ways. And it's only been a month and a half. So having this title is another job, and I'm extremely excited to have it.
Well, our Miss Connecticut, do you consider this to be a full-time job for this 1 year?
It is, but it's much more than that too, because afterwards I'm going to continue doing what I do now because it's so special to me.
And what is your profession other than being Miss Connecticut?
I'm a real estate agent.
Ah,
Yes.
okay. So you like people. You like
I
it.
do.
Okay.
I love talking. I love communicating with people. I can literally talk to a wall.
Right. You're an
So,
extroverted person.
Yes.
I get that. I'm one of those people too. And where do you come from?
Stanford.
Oh, how nice.
Yes. So I went to Sacred Heart University in Fairfield.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Beautiful. So that's Jenna Hoffman. We've been getting to know Jenna Hoffman. Daviana Plaza, hello.
Hello.
You're Miss Connecticut teen. How old are you?
I am 19 years old.
19. So you're barely, like you're almost, like at 20, you'd be Miss Connecticut, right?
Well, it's 19 as a miss starting
Right.
the age. But during the competition, I was actually 18 and my birthday was the 28th of February.
Okay. Happy
So,
birthday.
Thank you. So now that I'm 18, I'm still in the teen
You mean
division.
19?
19.
I get it.
I'm still in the teen division only because I was 18 when I was able to grab the title as Miss Connecticut.
And
teen.
so why your interest in pageants? Where did that come from?
It came from me as a young girl. I found it through karate, which is really
Karate.
weird.
Very cool.
Yes, I never paid attention in karate class when I was about 5 years old. I always posed and looked at myself in the mirror, and my mom figured that karate wasn't the best choice for me, so she actually signed me up to a couple modeling agencies.
And you like that better?
Yes.
So you like modeling, you like being the princess, you like the whole thing.
Yes.
Sort of the Disney princess thing.
Yes,
Yeah.
until I started actually my first pageant. And it was just like a whole different experience for me.
Why? What was that about?
It was the friendship aspect of it, but also the community service part. I've always been a big person in the community. I always served in the soup kitchen and so much more.
Something about a plate
Yes.
is associated with your name, Daviana. Tell me about that.
Yes. So I actually have my platform called Serving the Plate.
Serving the plate.
Yes.
Beautiful.
And it's all about helping the homelessness and people who struggle with food insecurity. And the reason I started it was because my mom, at a young age, she was raised with 9 siblings. And
In this country or another country?
In another country, well, Puerto Rico.
Okay.
So
Right.
she grew up with not enough food in front of her
Really?
and her siblings.
Okay.
So she kind of made me just look at a different perspective in life.
How many kids are in your family?
I am actually, well, I'm the only girl, but I also have a brother, so
Okay.
it's only 2 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
But my mom always tells me to look at things at a different perspective and see what people are going through in life. So I decided to open up my platform, go to soup kitchens, and serve my community by helping the homeless.
That's very beautiful. And when you interact with homeless people, what's your takeaway?
Well, I see how much they struggle in life, and there's so much more that's going on with them mentally.
Mhm.
And I see how much struggles they go through, and I feel like helping them out, even if just
Even if you give them a full belly that day,
yes,
is a good thing.
It makes their day, and
I
seeing
know.
someone smile just makes me smile.
Mhm.
And if that makes their day, that one day, it could make their whole week.
Daviana, do you also have the personality where you could talk to a wall? Are you an extroverted person?
I would say that before I was too scared to order pizza for my family. So pageantry has opened me up at a different level. So now I can say that I can definitely talk to a wall for hours, even a fish if I had to. But before, I'd say I was very, very shy girl. I would put my head down in class and I would listen, but I was not the most social person.
Why do you think you won, Daviana? Why do you think you were distinguished among the other teen contestants?
I'd definitely say it would have been my confidence and my authenticity. I'm a very genuine and honest person, and I feel like judges see that. Judges see that confidence and how much that person wants that job as Miss Connecticut Teen USA. And I felt like I showed that on stage, but also on my interview. I was very open about how I was bullied in my past life, and I struggled a lot with confidence. But being able to show that confidence that I have gained throughout life, it was just like a whole different level. And
Where
I feel
did you
like
go to school?
I went to North Wyndham for elementary school, Wyndham Middle School, and then I graduated last year in June in Norwich Free Academy.
In Norwich? Oh, so you're from Norwich.
Yes, I actually live around the North Franklin area, which is in between Wyndham and Norwich.
Okay.
But I was raised in Wyndham.
That's an old part of the Connecticut. There's still a lot of farms there?
there is a lot of farms. I live in the woods, so
Do
I have
you?
a lot of animals all around me.
Do you like where you live? You like where you grew up?
It's very at peace there, and everyone knows each other. So I can walk out of Walmart and I can see someone and say hello.
My family, when they came off the boat from Ellis Island, originally settled in that area.
Yes.
They had a big farm in Uncasville,
Mhm.
and before it was casino land. And I have a lot of relatives buried in the Norwich Cemetery, the Norwich Jewish Cemetery. So when my dad comes up, but it's been 5 years now, but he always made a trip up to Norwich to visit his relatives in Norwich, even though they're past. Put little rocks on the cemetery, on the graves. That's a custom in the Jewish tradition. So whenever I hear about Norwich, I remember that I visited there as a very young child, and I would go to see farms. So it was very cool.
Yes.
Very, very cool. So you ladies look very, very happy. Let me ask you this, Jenna Hoffman. You're Miss Connecticut. Why do you think you won? What distinguished you?
I think because I was already putting my plan of action into place, and I'm very genuine, and like Daviana was saying, the judges can tell that. And this year, compared from all the other years that I've been competing, I think I was just having fun. There was no stress to it.
How old are you?
I'm 24 now.
Okay,
Just turned
great.
24. Yes.
Great. Yep. And you said you were already putting it into plan. So this is your commitment, your passion is before and beyond the title.
Yes, of course.
And the crown.
Of course.
You know, I just saw something in the news today that really startled me. I want to just tell you ladies about it. I saw that there was a brand new chain of Jewish day schools called the Sinai Day Schools that were going to be starting devoted to Jewish kids that had mental health issues like depression, emotional disturbances, suicidal thoughts, and that they were starting schools. They wanted to start more than one. They already had one in Jersey. They were starting another one in New York City. They felt that they were going to have a chain of these schools. And I was so taken with the fact, I looked up and I said, are there that many kids that would qualify for that school?
Unfortunately, yes. There's many people. There actually a statistic that I saw on a website was 30% of teen girls consider suicide in their lifetime, which is absolutely insane. And that is why I'm so passionate about this platform, because I was bullied in high school. I suffered from anxiety, and I don't want to say depression, but slightly it was depression. It made me extremely depressed, and many people suffer from it.
Yeah,
It's
but many
not-
people would argue that being a little bit bullied in school, which I was, I had a kid stick a safety pin in my rear end every time I bent down from my locker. And then I figured I had to deal with it. That part of that is honestly every human being growing up.
It is. It is part of it. It definitely is. And I think it's depressing that kids have to go through it. It is a part of life.
But it is a part of life.
It is a part of life. And it's very upsetting. And I think that we need to be discussing it. And as a teen, my platform was bullying and suicide prevention, because bullying happens too often and it needs to be stopped.
Stopped, but also we have to learn how to cope with it.
Yes.
We can't always stop the behavior. Sometimes we
Yes.
have to figure out how to respond to the behavior in a way. You know what Eleanor Roosevelt said? No one can make you feel inferior without your consent.
I do.
That's like a
feel-
mantra.
I feel that words do stay with you, though. And I think that's why it creates this anxiety and depression, because even though I have said in the past, yeah, these people have hurt me, they've said terrible things about me, it still gets to you and it still stays
I
with
see
you.
that.
And I don't think it will ever truly leave you. It'll always be on your mind. And that's what starts the anxiety and constant just thinking about what other people are thinking about you. And that's what creates it.
We're talking with two young ladies in Connecticut, Jenna Hoffman and Daviana Plaza, each of whom hold a crown from the USA pageant, Miss Connecticut USA and Miss Connecticut Teen USA. We'll be right back. If you want to be part of this conversation, it's 203-333-9422. We'll be right back.
Put your finest green on and join WICC at the biggest and best St. Patrick's Day parades this season. Join Melissa Sheketoff for 2 parades, this Friday in Bridgeport and this Saturday in Milford. Get parade routes at voiceofct.com. Then load up on corned beef and cabbage and bring your entire family to enjoy floats, marching bands, and all this St. Patty's Day fun with WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
WICC 600 and 95.9. Online at thevoiceofct.com. Thanks to Fairfield University graduate and professional studies.
Going to the vet is a stressful experience. If your dog is like mine, he's quaking under the furniture while you're waiting. Meanwhile, you're missing work just to be seen during office hours. Luckily for us, we have Dr. Jeffrey Kay, the visiting veterinarian in our neighborhood. Dr. Kay comes to your house, answers the phone himself 7 days a week all year long, has over 30 years experience caring for dogs and cats, and for sick visits, vaccinations, end-of-life care, and great diagnostics, Dr. Kay is there for you. If you have more than one pet, Dr. Kay only charges for one house call, and his fees are surprisingly reasonable. Most importantly, Dr. K answers the phone after 5, meaning that you aren't forced to go to an emergency vet clinic just because your regular vet is closed. For old-fashioned personal service and top-quality veterinary care, call Dr. Jeffrey K, the visiting veterinarian, at 203-856-9900. That's 203-856-9900, because you and your pet deserve the best.
Go to voiceofct.com and click on contests. Enter to win tickets to see Riverdance 30, The New Generation, coming to Toyota Oakdale Theater April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. Last year, more consumers switched to Chevrolet than any other automotive brand. Why? With more standard passive and active safety features than any other brand, plus easy-to-use technology like wireless Apple CarPlay, Chevy simply builds in more value. And who doesn't love getting more for their money? With fresh inventory arriving daily, see for yourself at Carl Chevrolet, 261 Elm Street in New Canaan, or online at carlchevy.com.
Join us March 15th and 16th for the Connecticut Better Home Show and Women's Better Living Expo at the Total Mortgage Arena, Bridgeport. 2 outstanding shows, 1 exciting weekend, and free entry with online pre-registration.
Explore the latest in home improvement, beauty, and wellness. Don't miss early bird prizes and thousands in giveaways.
Sponsored by Xfinity, Rebath, and the Vane Institute.
Grab your free tickets now at ctbetterhs.com. That's ctbetterhs.com. Experience better living and home innovations this spring.
See you there. Columbia Dental invites you to come to their Norwalk office for your entire family's dental health. It is their mission to provide you with comprehensive dental care you and your family deserve. Visit Columbia Dental in Norwalk, located at 91 East Avenue, open 5 days a week, or visit their Manchester location at 483 Middle Turnpike West, open 7 days a week. Columbia Dental, here for you and your family for regular checkups or emergency visits. ColumbiaDental.com.
If it's on your mind, it's already on hers. The Lisa Wexler Show, WICC 600 and 95.9, the voice of Connecticut.
I feel pretty, oh so pretty. I feel pretty and witty and gay, and I pity any girl who's in me today. I feel charming, oh so charming. It's alarming how charming I feel and so pretty.
I thought that was apropos. The ladies that we have in our studio are Miss Jenna Hoffman, Miss Connecticut USA, and Miss Daviana Plaza, Miss Connecticut Teen USA. Welcome back, ladies.
Thank you.
So, we can hear you, right? You're on? You're on. Good. So I was asking, we were chatting off air a little bit. I know that you both have a commitment to mental health. We were talking a little bit about bullying. I wanted to know, let me begin with you, Daviana. You're a little younger. You're 19. Mm-hmm. Does social media, what kind of a role did it play in your own psyche growing up? And do you think it has an outsized impact on people's egos? We're talking about women predominantly, but also boys. What do you think?
I definitely think there's pros and cons to social media affecting mental health, only because through social media, you tend to compare yourself to others. And that's what I have done. That's what I have done. You did that? Yep, that's what I have done before, because I've always been judged from the way that my body looked.
Well, that is the world.
So
unfortunately.
Yes. And I feel like social media paints a perfect picture, but in reality, it's not.
Now, did you post pictures of yourself on social media? Like was social media for you a feed of sayings and photos of other people, or was your feed mostly you?
Well, it was mostly me, but when I saw other girls, I tend to compare I tend to compare myself to them. I'm like, why can't I be?
And even though they're strangers.
Well, yes, even though they're strangers, but everything's edited. Everything has been AI'd.
100%.
There's nothing that's actually authentic in social media.
No, there isn't.
I mean, I think plays a big part in mental health these days, especially with teens on social media.
Do you have any advice to people your own age when it comes to social media?
I definitely say try to stay as much away as possible from social media.
Really?
I am
Meaning Instagram, which ones? TikTok?
Meaning Instagram. I mean, TikTok is not that bad of an app. I mean, I look for recipes and stuff there.
Okay.
But I'd say Instagram, Facebook, those main pages where you see girls that post themselves that are edited and everything. I really think it's those social medias you should be staying away from. But I definitely think social media also has a positive impact. I mean, a lot of people show positive ways to use social media. Like us, we use it for our community service platforms and the activities we're participating in. But other than that, I feel like we should use it in a more positive way.
If you were raising a daughter now, we're chatting with Daviana Plaza, Miss Connecticut Teen USA. What age would you want your daughter to be exposed to social media?
I think a good age is about 16.
16. Very important.
16 is a good age.
Okay.
I didn't have a phone until I was in high school.
And there you go.
So I was kind of
Kudos
raised
to your
without
parents.
social media.
Kudos to your parents.
Yes.
And probably one of the reasons why you turned out the way you did. Jenna Hoffman, what do you think about social media?
There's a lot of pros and cons, like Daviana was saying. The cons being it does create, self-esteem issues, especially as a woman. You're comparing yourself to all of the celebrities on there. You look at them, you say, I want to look like them, and truly it's not achievable because whether they're editing a photo or it's fake.
Or you're
there's
not
all different
6'2".
things. Yes,
Right.
exactly. So although it could really be negative on your self-esteem, I think there's a lot of pros to social media. Like Daviana was saying, you could find so many recipes. I stay in touch with family on social media, and it's really just a way for me to expand my platform even further. As Miss Connecticut USA so far, I've already had so many people reach out to me, thanking me for what I do and asking for help and, advice. And I think that that's been a very positive thing for me and for them as well.
I have sort of a funny story. My sister, Jill Zarin, who you guys may not have heard of, but she was one of the original housewives of New York City, Real Housewives. Yeah. Wow. So if you watched it years ago with your mother, I was on the show for 3 seasons with her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now. Anyway, but the point is that Jill is still a celebrity, and she has over 1 million social media followers between her various platforms. Well, a couple of months ago, maybe longer, there was a very pretty picture of the two of us. We happened to go to a family bat mitzvah together, and we each wore the same suit because we always end up wearing the same thing without talking about it with each other. So she wore a black thing, and I wore a black thing. My hair was like this, her hair was like this, and we took a pretty picture of the two of us. It was a pretty picture. But my sister loves to doctor pictures. Okay, she is Miss AI fabulousness. And she always plays with it. So she made me look dramatically younger and quote unquote prettier, although I liked the first picture. And she made herself also. And she posted it. Now, I thought it was hysterical because I don't care anymore. Because I know the whole thing's one big in-joke. Do you know how many people were freaked out and angry? One person wrote, how much do you hate your sister that you had to doctor her image to look like this? Oh, no. People went berserk. It had, I think, over 100,000 comments. And it made Radar Online and all these other publications that talked about the controversy of Jill posting this image. But I was in on the joke. I kept doing hearts to all the haters. All the haters. I kept saying love, 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 because I wanted them to know that I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm like past it now. There might have been a time 15 years ago where I would have taken offense and I would have said, Jill, what are you doing? I don't really look like that. But now, as far as I'm concerned, and I just think what you ladies are saying is true. It's here. It's with us. We sort of can't take it that seriously anymore.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Because otherwise we will take our own image that seriously, and that's not good.
And that's when the mental health
And
starts
that's
affecting you.
Exactly. So you sort of have to, move away from it or think of it as a joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
What age would you have your daughter have social media?
Well, I will say especially now that technology is constantly advancing, it's hard to keep your daughter, your son, your kids away from social media and away from technology. I would say around 16. I'm trying to think like high school ages, maybe 8th grade, maybe 7th grade, around there. I would probably get them on social media, but I would do something to monitor it. Like
You
I
would be
would
monitoring.
not just let them go on anything.
Like on
it
like
would
any
be-
computer.
Yes.
Yeah.
It would be monitored because
Well,
there's a lot out there.
For your information, there is a movement in the independent school community, which is called Wait Until 8th, which wants kids to be able to wait until 8th grade. We've had people on to talk about that. They feel at a minimum that's the earliest kids should have social media. So that's more or less around 14.
I feel like also we need to teach our kids how to interact face to face with people, because that's one of the other problems with technology.
We could even start on the phone.
Yeah.
We have to train our interns. I'm a probate judge in the afternoons in my other life. We have to train our summer interns how to get on the phone. We literally have to train them.
And that's what we don't want. We want to have our next generations be able to talk face to face with people, make eye contact with people. It shouldn't just be, I'll text them. Like, that should not be the case. How are you supposed to go on a job interview if you can't make eye contact with someone?
I hope for your sake the world isn't only remote work, because with your beautiful extroverted personalities, people should get to see you in the office. It's really been a pleasure to get to know both of you, and I'm so happy you're going to stay for lunch. We have our lunch with Lisa. It's going to be yummy. Riverview Bistro. Thank you so much for catering. Jenna Hoffman, Miss Connecticut, USA. Daviana Plaza, Miss Connecticut Teen USA. May your reign be fruitful and beautiful and all that wonderful things. Don't be a stranger. Come back on the show. We're going to be right back with Wayne Winston. Stay tuned. You're listening to The Lisa Wexler Show.
For more of the stories you may not have heard, grab Lisa Wexler's daily podcast.
Your business or service can reach thousands of listeners with The Lisa Wexler Show. The award-winning show is consistently ranked in the top 5 talk radio shows in Connecticut. Lisa's listeners are devoted and loyal. They should know how great your business is. Advertise on The Lisa Wexler Show. Just email Lisa at voiceofct.com. That's Lisa at voiceofct.com. The Lisa Wexler Show. If you're thinking about it, Lisa's talking about it. And that includes you.
A.G. Williams painting, the people you trust to do the job right.
Imagine your house perfectly painted. Fresh colors, clean lines, looking better than ever. And now imagine a painting experience that's just as good. We're talking friendly painters, easy communication, and never feeling in the dark. With A.G. Williams Painting, you don't have to imagine it.
A.G. Williams painting, the people you trust to do the job right.
A.G. Williams Painting has been painting in your neighborhood since 1906, and they know how to do it right. You'll love their team, too. A.G. Williams Painting has career craftspeople who are totally dedicated to their work and invested in your project. That means peace of mind and a paint job you can be proud of.
A.G. Williams painting, A.G. Williams painting, the people you trust to do the job right.
Sono Collision, Fairfield County's best for top quality collision repairs. We deliver unmatched precision and care to restore your vehicle. Trust us for excellence. Visit sonocollision.com or call 203-939-9955.
For over a century, Spectre has been the go-to destination for furniture that's built to last. To celebrate, they're kicking off their 135th anniversary sale with huge discounts store-wide. Whether you're updating your living room, refreshing your bedroom, or looking for the perfect new dining set, Spectre Furniture has the pieces you'll love at prices you'll adore. Celebrate this March at Spectre Furniture, 135 years strong and
Support the British Rescue Mission through Day of Giving. All month long, Stamford and Greenwich
Your contribution. Life skill classes to those hope and make a difference. Visit brm.gives for more information.
From Stamford, from Westport to Wilton. White with Wayne Winston. Now on the lead. And not.
By the way, he defended his position. He said if I did it for Joe Wilson with the Republicans, I was going to have to do it for Al Green. He also other leadership of the Democrats warning their fellow Democrats not to do something like this so disruptive. Anyway, inclination were her work. Then he had
Texas Representative Al Green.
not the singer, right?
He
He's
didn't
a
go
great
that far.
singer, though.
He went in the gospel, by the way.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I thought he was Louisiana. Yeah.
Lewis, et cetera. He goes back that far. Very well respected.
Okay.
So when the president, during his comments, said that he has a cane, so he's holding the cane
He's
up.
waving it
and
around.
He's waving it around.
Oh,
He's saying
boy.
that you don't have a mandate. You don't have a mandate. You don't have a mandate. So whole thing, congressional, in president's speech to a board. You have
Like he kept interrupting.
going, and they did a comparison between the two Greens, Marjorie Taylor Greene, and then this Green, and he winds up being censured.
Yeah.
Now, the process is that in the Congress they have to decide whether they're going to discipline this person, which is basically what is. So, 10 Democratic.
No, Al Green.
Al Green.
Yeah.
So was he who decided press that came out to support the whole thing as well, and
heard that too.
So he didn't participate in either one. So because the national NAACP reached out to the Connecticut state, X is the state president here.
With an X or is
X.
it ECKS? How do we spell it?
Name is X.
Oh, I've seen it in print, Esdale. Okay, got it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. That, Jim, he came out. He came here to Bridgeport, and
He's not afraid to face people.
No.
I think he has a lot of integrity that way.
No. It's very important because, as he told you when he was going, it was going to be how people who don't know him said, hey, and he looks like someone who is not down with dealing with this president who basically killed off, affirmative action, for that matter, DEIs, all the other offshoots comes later.
But if you look at his other votes, he very much is with you on a lot of issues.
Well, everyone politically knows anything about the congressman or the senators.
Fair enough.
Each person who's watching this national thing, and everyone is, just like, wow, those 10.
Okay.
So there's 9 others.
Okay.
Is that had to happen.
So how did let me ask you this, what was the forum? Did he speechify, or was it a Q&A, or like what was the forum at the NAACP meeting?
Well, from NACP and as well as local clergy, what we did not do is has to be the dialogue after. It was the pain that was, I think that was national, by what you could even see in the news. It was very similar in that room. So what for the state of Connecticut, for Bridgeport, for Stamford, et cetera. And those of us that are more politically connected, we're more familiar with what he does.
Mm-hmm.
You know who he is if he stood in a room.
Yes.
Most
see.
Because that had people from around the state, just like people from around the country. I got a call from Virginia. Whoa, what's going on? It is that big an issue.
I see.
For the context of happening with Doge, what's happening with these things that say DEI, women aren't qualified, black people. And we've been dealing with that from day one, much as our battle throughout history. Finally, from the civil rights movement, and we have a president who says, listen, corrected 60 years of injustice, meaning 6 years, he didn't believe in any of that stuff, basically.
So, Wayne, what do you think? You know, you're very good at measuring the temperature in a room. Do you think Congressman Himes's point of view was also heard in that room? Or was it more just an opportunity for everyone to vent to make sure that Congressman Himes heard their point of view?
It was done very professionally, no outbursts. There was nothing that was unruly. You know, that's how CP operates. And very respectful. People made clear how they felt. So, even in tears, hard for them to talk about it.
Mm.
But he heard some. This is just in history. We've never had one side we can go to. We can't go to the Senate. We can't go to the Congress. We can't go to the president with these personal issues that we all have, veterans, all this stuff.
But one of the things, Wayne Winston, that Congressman Himes made clear to our audience on Saturday when he was called on this vote was that all 4 members of the leadership of the Democratic Party are either women or people of color. 3 out of the 4, led by Hakeem Jeffries, was black.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he was accused by one person in the audience of being racist in voting, he did not see it that way. He did not see his vote as racist, and the black leadership that instructed us as Democrats not to do this disruptive act in that forum.
He comes from, you know, where you are, it makes sense. There's a side of activism says, you know, civil disobedience is the way you do stuff. Okay. Said, hey, he's respecting the decorum and even the wishes thereof. So kind of almost damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, he felt that way.
And that's what he portrayed. He had that discussion. And I have to tell you, I think it a stronger relationship between what the goal of this thing was. It wasn't to throw him under the bus.
Okay.
It was to say, you hurt people.
Okay.
Maybe the perspective that you took, I get the decorum of the chamber, how we do business, because it can easily boil down into something else.
Yeah.
But these and these throughout our whole history, we've only had the right to vote for 60 years. you know, and all the things leading up to that.
Well, no, not 60 years. What do you mean? Oh, you mean you had the right to vote, but you're saying you in the South it was with the poll taxes and everything. the vote since 1865, but I hear what you're saying.
Well,
I hear what you're saying.
yeah.
It's not a vote if you can't show up.
And that's it. So the bleeding and all this other stuff that happened, and someone kills you or your family, that's a heavy
Did
price
I ever
to
tell
pay.
you one of my Ethel stories? So I was raised by my mother and also Ethel. Came north to make a living as a housekeeper to send money to her children. And I, growing up, but I said, Ethel, I'll never forget this, Wayne. She looked up at me with, and it was all of a sudden the blinds went from my eyes. I saw how she saw herself in our society, not I don't vote. Ethel, what do you mean you don't? I don't vote. Complete estrangement from the political process.
Sure.
Saw ourselves as having in order to change the future. And she grew up in a time and a place where vote. She would have none of it. But it was really a revelation to me. I'll never forget that moment. I was stunned.
Well, that's box that says, hey, listen, now you can vote. Now you do have these rights. It's true.
It was from the deep South, and probably in her bones, it was like voting's for other people, not for us.
And also taking your life in your hands. So that's
Also, we never got to that conversation. I'm going to be right back with Wayne Winston. Now's your opportunity to be part of the conversation, 203-333-9422.
For students, PhD, and non-verbal. Learn more about Winston Prep's highly individualized learning. Help your child thrive. Visit winstonprep.edu for
Listen for The Doctor is In, your chance to ask prominent doctors from Northwell Health your questions on everything from bariatric surgery, disease, gamma knife surgery, and more. Listen for behind the scenes, in-depth being against illness or disease. You might not know the best questions to ask, but Lisa Wexler is in.
So COPD has two components related to smoking and air environmental. If it affects the and Northwell, the COPD initiative to start screening them for COPD because yes, it's dosing most of the patients that have
Prominent doctors from Northwell Health.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. Think about your mentor inspire you the most. While it may look like they have all the answers, they don't. When to ask questions and seek the support they need. In a world that glorifies hyper-independence, it's easy. Great support in your life so you can break free from the outdated belief that seeking help is a sign of weakness. Better challenges time something comes up. System with better. That's BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio.
Back to the news and talk, thanks to Smart MLS. Ask.
And every good.
Right? Good man.
Yes, indeed. It's good. It's good. Man, you know, I would like to connect with you on that.
That you will get my number and et cetera. Hopefully, maybe the young.
Frank, what am I? But it's got such a warm tone. All right. Well, Wayne, you'll be happy for that, right?
I like the great work, you know, catching up on life, and you know the stories that we have from Bridgeport, you know, are you know very close.
Okay. Guys have been through adventures together?
Yes.
Okay.
Amen.
All right. Wonderful. Frank, thank you so much for listening and picking up. Sure. 333-9422. Okay, Wayne. Taking I want that to somehow be sent as a signal that they're not a similar one against Rebecca Garcia, and that might
know what I see in the paper. I could say, you know, chief.
Okay.
Too much from a pension or something he wasn't supposed to be working.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah.
To be like something internal, because when you say, you know, staffing and hostility, who those people are, I mean, I haven't seen them come forward where you can go, hey, I maybe know a little bit about that person, but clearly.
He was attacked by a white person who said he was racist. He was attacked by a couple of black people who said he was racist. Somebody else said if you're attacked by everybody, then you're doing your job. I would.
That in some in other cities,
He says you need 400.
that's upon him. If that's the direct thing and the direct reason why it's a hostile work environment, I think everyone's tired of getting a whole bunch of other people's work. So I don't know that that's
right.
it. But,
it's understandable why individual
if
police
that.
officers would be unhappy. But I don't work together to do something to get more police. Conversation you wanted to have because March 7th. President Trump is seeking to purge the federal government of quote-unquote woke initiatives. And some of the words surprise you, others won't. For example, don't but also don't diverse America. I want to be in a public document. Clean energy. Climate. Careful of the word political. Be careful of the word privilege. Be careful of the word diverse, diversity, diversifying, diversify, diverse groups, diverse. Here?
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's out, Wayne.
Yeah, well,
Wayne, that's out.
It's
That's
got-
out.
listen, it's
it's
got to
Gulf
be-
of America now, whether you like it or not.
What are you thinking? Okay.
It's Mount McKinley and Gulf of America. And that's they're delighted.
And people on the expectation when he got elected. I think that our weaknesses better than anything because you can have all elected, one man, one vote. So when you have a process that says, listen, we're going to deal with that immigration problem, open borders.
And he
not whatever,
has. Look at that.
And not as many as he said, but at the same time.
No. I want to say two things.
Right,
Number he has not many people as he said he would. I saw that this morning.
Yeah.
Maybe a lot of reasons for that, but he has not done that. And
It had more to do with the finances once they figured out what it would cost to do with the National Guard, those other kinds. It was pretty expensive.
that's very
Getting knocked off half of the as of yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Enough money nationally to run that to begin with. It was always a struggle getting enough money into the education department. And something down, you don't have anything put in the place. I mean, what is the thing that we use for?
Well, they're planning. They say that the half of the people of Department of Education they fired were funneling of the Pell Grants, the things that are still going to survive.
This is how we're going to implement that. And you walk in one day and they go like, hey, your department, gone. The specific reviews, no way that you typically, quote, do this, because if you're going to filter out who's performing, what measurement that you're using, What are you using to say this person outperformed that person? It's just like, boom, we're taking half, whatever.
Last in, first out. I will. Wants. That was insane. I thought to myself, all of they're shredding all their files.
Understood.
We'll get to that tomorrow.
Fair enough.
WICC Bridgeport. PLR HD2 New Haven, locally owned by Connoisseur Media.
Is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by
Keith in Canada and Europe retaliate, slapping their own and aluminum.
I'm Vicki Barker at the Foreign. Tit-for-tat tariffs will hit peanut butter, blue jeans, bourbon, Harley Davidson. Announced its own retaliatory tariffs. Even staunch U.S. ally Britain is wavering. Prime Minister.
Its inflation slowed a bit last month, but CBS's Jill.
Secretary Linda McMahon told Fox is the first step. Infuriates the National Education Association.
Administration is working to destroy public education.
Becky Pringle says the president.
He's working to take money out of our public schools and give it to billionaires and take it away from students who need more.
Stacey Lynn, CBS News, Washington.
Court hearing going on in New York for Mahmoud Khalil, the Palestinian with a green card involved in protests at Columbia University, who was arrested by ICE. President Trump called him pro-Hamas on social media. CBS's Katrina Kaufman.
The government has indicated that it may use an obscure provision of the Immigration and Nationality Act that says the Secretary of State can deport someone if their presence in the U.S. is adverse to the United States foreign policy interests.
NASA and SpaceX are set to launch a mission to the space station today. Our space consultant Bill Harwood says success would mean 2 astronauts are closer to a long-awaited trip home.
NASA's launching a replacement crew that'll clear the way for the Starliner astronauts, that's Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams, along with 2 station crewmates to finally make it back to Earth. NASA says the decision to keep them up so long was the best way to minimize disruptions to station science and to downstream crew rotation flights.
The mission for Williams and Wilmore turned out to be 9 months long instead of 8 days long. Wall Street, right now the Dow is down 117 points. The NASDAQ and S&P are higher. This is CBS News.
A riddle brought to you by Progressive Insurance. What do your home and auto have in common? Progressive protects them both. It was an easy riddle. Learn more at Progressive.com.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But what if you could get both? Why not? Especially when it comes to health care, and that is MediShare. You get both. Many families save $500 a month with MediShare, and that's huge, but it's also true that people wind up way more satisfied, too. And we know this from research of members. There's a lot they like about MediShare, but especially they love being part of something they believe in. And MediShare works, too. It has for more than 30 years. There are hundreds of thousands of members who love having telehealth if they need it. They love the huge PPO network. So, yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or you're part of the gig economy or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price in 2 minutes. Here's the number. Call 877-26-BIBLE. That's 877-26-BIBLE. 877-26-BIBLE.
Whether your current home security is just a lock and paranoid dog, or if you have an outdated system ready for an upgrade, achieve security and peace of mind when you call the experts at Property Protection Consulting. Go to ppcalarms.com, see their solutions, view their videos, gain simple state-of-the-art security all working in concert and fully installed at a low cost. Schedule your complimentary consultation. ppcalarms.com.
Join us at our Red Tag sales event at Maritime Chevrolet of Fairfield. See our new Silverado electric truck capable of up to 440 miles of range and can tow up to 10,000 pounds. Now red tagged at only $58,400. That's $10,500 off. And qualified customers can take advantage of 0% financing up to 60 months only at MaritimeChevy.com.
Stock number 24408 excludes tax, title, registration, and dealer conveyance fees. Includes all discounts. Primary lender must approve. Tier 1 credit required.
When you switch to Progressive and bundle your home and auto, you could save hundreds, and that's a surprising amount of money.
Whoa, that's like farmer's market money.
That's like give me a gallon of that locally sourced raw honey money.
That's certified organic heirloom tomatoes in every imaginable color except red money.
That's let's get 2 pounds of pink oyster mushrooms money. I'm not even sure I like pink oyster mushrooms.
Guess it's time to find out, because you could save hundreds when you switch to Progressive and bundle. Then the world is your pink oyster mushroom. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be-in-the-room-with-real people kind of learner, so he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com, Babbel.com.
Hi, I'm Peter from Donut Delight. Donut Delight has used Steve Bassel Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning since 1994. From installing plumbing in our new stores to maintaining our existing stores and our personal homes. Their guys have always been very professional and great to work with. Donut Delight has been very happy with Steve Bassel Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Looking for a reliable plumbing or HVAC company? Steve Basso Plumbing, Heating, and AC has proven customer satisfaction since 1974. Go to BassoPHAC.com. That's BassoPHAC.com.
For over a century, Abriola Parkview Funeral Home in Trumbull has been a beacon of support and compassion for families navigating the profound challenges of grief and loss. Family owned since 1906, we are dedicated to helping you honor your loved ones with dignity and respect. Trust our experienced team to guide you through this difficult time, allowing you to celebrate a life well lived. Abriola.com, your legacy, our commitment.
WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut. Weather update.
Sunny sky the rest of this afternoon with a high in the lower 50s and a wind shifting out of the east. Clouding over this evening, a few scattered showers by late at night with a low in the mid-30s. An early shower tomorrow. Otherwise cloudy and cooler with a high in the upper 40s. I'm meteorologist Paul Piorek on WICC.
WICC 695.9, Voice of Connecticut Local News Update.
This update is brought to you by Duchess. Visit a Duchess restaurant today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Enjoy fresh food served fast. There's an elevated wildfire concern today in Connecticut, especially inland. There is minimum relative humidity and winds gusting from the south at 25 to 35 miles per hour. Extreme caution is advised using any ignition sources outdoors. Forecasters warn any fires that do break out could potentially spread quickly. Governor Ned Lamont is due to discuss his plan for the largest expansion of preschool access in state history. If passed, the plan would allow for thousands of new preschool spaces to be created across Connecticut. Lamont has said that the plan would call for $300 million in cash from last year's budget surplus to start funding the program. The governor says the goal is to expand affordable preschool options by making it free or low cost for all working families. Beth Bai, commissioner of the Office of Early Education, spoke with News 8.
We propose using state-of-the-art technology where parents can simply say, this is what I need, these are the hours I need, this is where I live, this is how much I make, and they will get a menu of options to find more affordable preschool.
Some Connecticut Republicans, however, want more information on how the state will pay for this plan and where the money will be coming from. State House Minority Leader Vin Candelora shared those concerns, also with News 8.
While the governor has this endowment plan, I think we need to do something more within the confines of the budget.
Governor Lamont remains confident that the balance is right. Lawmakers in Hartford are attempting to lower the cost of prescription drugs by taking aim at pharmaceutical benefit managers, or PBMs. PBMs serve as the middleman between insurance companies, manufacturers, and consumers, and have been shown to mark up the cost of certain drugs by as much as 1,000%. State Senator Jeff Gordon spoke at the hearing.
I see more hardworking people and families and retirees not able to afford the cost of their drugs. I'm not saying getting rid of the PBMs, but we really need to make certain that they're transparent, make certain it's clear who they're working for.
One of the goals of the legislative task force is also to increase the amount of drugs made in Connecticut, providing jobs and preventing shortages. State lawmakers testified today on a bill regulating the use of artificial intelligence in the workplace. The bill would put protections around the use of AI tools to monitor and evaluate workers, including mandatory disclosures and third-party reviews. The bill is backed by state Democrats and labor unions who believe that these protections are necessary for state workers to avoid potential overreach and intrusion from AI technology. State Senator Julie Kushner spoke with News 8.
The main thing is transparency, that people are aware of when artificial intelligence is being used.
Republicans, however, have been critical of the bill. State Senator Rob Sampson told News 8 that the bill represents a significant legislative overreach.
We've got regulation after regulation sending a big neon sign kind of message to employers in the state to turn around and leave. There's a lot of things that AI can do and do well to help improve worker safety. Increased production, of course, is what employers are going to be interested in. But finding the balance is right. And the bill that we have in there today, I think, is overkill.
The Trump administration has canceled an $800,000 grant for the state's main food bank, Connecticut Food Share. Officials at the Wallingford-based food bank were worried the funding could be eliminated, and those fears were confirmed this week. Connecticut Food Share provides much of the food distributed throughout numerous pantries and soup kitchens across the state. Food Share's spokesperson says the loss of funding will have a major impact on the people they serve. The Bridgeport Police Union is planning a no-confidence vote against Police Chief Roderick Porter. Union officials allege that Porter has created a toxic work environment and that he's destroyed the department since taking over in late 2022. Porter was appointed to the position by Mayor Joe Ganim after a national search was conducted. His predecessor, Rebecca Garcia, was also subject to a no-confidence vote by the City Police Officers Union. And Stanford-based Tomo Mortgage is moving its headquarters to New York City. The online mortgage lender was founded in 2020 and has announced plans to expand its product offerings and its team. Tomo officials say that Stanford was an incredible place to start a company, but the time has come for the next stage of the company's growth. They have determined that moving the headquarters to New York City will allow it to continue growing and keep pace with demand. And it's time for the JSX Big Florida Flyaway. If you're listening right now, you have a chance to win a flight on JSX out of Westchester to the Florida destination of your choice. Choose between Naples, Miami, West Palm Beach, or Boca. The hotel is on us as well. All you have to do to enter is text POOL, POOL, to 203-333-9422. For the Voice of Connecticut WICC, I'm John Kamal.
Just when you think we're through the worst of this winter, another cold snap hits Connecticut. It's time to warm up with the WICC JSX Big Florida Flyaway. Weekdays at 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m. Listen for the keyword to text and qualify to fly JSX round trip out of Westchester to the Florida destination of your choice. Naples, Miami, West Palm Beach, or Boca Raton. Plus, a hotel stay on us. It's the WICC JSX Big Florida Flyaway. Play 3 times a day.
WICC 695.9 online. Professional studies.
No part of your home. Hi, I'm in Brown Roofing, your local
Florida Flyway. Listen at 9, noon, and 3 for your shot to fly from Westchester to either Boca Raton.
Sure you understand how the games
Over the weekend, the West Los Angeles Animal Shelter called Kiefer to tell her they had Aggie, who was badly burned and starving and has already undergone several blood transfusions. A GoFundMe to cover Aggie's vet bills has raised more than $20,000.
Hi, Aggie. Hi, sweetie.
Michael Wallace, CBS News.
Authorities say a Pennsylvania man passing through security at Newark Airport was found to have a live turtle stashed. Alarm went off, and an officer conducted a pat-down. Or penalties. I'm Steve Kathan, CBS News.
You're listening to The Download on WICC 695.9, the voice of Connecticut. It's Up Close with John Kamal, taking a deeper look at a local story making news.
In the year 2025, it's hard to imagine any stretch of the planet that has remained unused by humans. And yet, right here in Connecticut, some of those places exist, and you can even visit them.
What people call ancient forest or native forest, which is original forest, never, ever, ever been cut. That's a totally different ecosystem than a forest that was cut, say, 100 or 200 years ago.
That was Sarah Rob Greco, Northeast Regional Manager for the Old Growth Forest Network, an organization dedicated to the preservation of a very small amount of forests left in the United States that have never been cleared for farming, development, or lumber.
The ancient forest is a very, very, very tiny, tiny percentage. It's less than 1% in the Northeast.
So what makes an old there's a massive aesthetic difference between an ancient forest and one that was years ago.
Gnarled, they're scarred, they've been broken off at some point and then grown in a really weird direction. Furrows, and it's not a flat area if you're hiking through.
However, ancient forests do more than just provide a pleasant view. Rob Greco made the point that
incredible job taking up carbon and holding it. So if we can just leave it held, then it won't be released back into the atmosphere. Also, they are taking up rainwater, right? And they're filtering it and creating fresh water for us to drink. There's creatures that live in the forest that can only live in older forests. And so if we lose those forests, we're going to start having things that no longer live on the earth.
While preservation may be the goal of Rob Greco and the Old Growth Forest Network, that doesn't mean the average person isn't allowed to experience the beauty of them for themselves.
Individual people are not going to do damage to an old growth forest unless they're going in where there is no trail, or they're foraging for something or taking things out of the forest. Like, you just have to be a good forest citizen. It's great for people to be in the forest. We want people to be in the forest, because if they don't go there, they don't experience it, how will they know how special it is, and how will they care about it?
If you'd like to visit an old growth forest, there's